So thank you so much, everyone, for coming for this webinar or joining the webinar. And this could not have come at a better time than now, where we are having a lot of problems in the world and as well as Nigeria. And this webinar is more about hope. It's more about putting ourselves together and understanding that these too shall pass. It's not something that will last forever. Every bad thing that has come has always passed, and this one would also pass away. So we're looking at the topic COVID-19, preparing for emergency remote work. And of course, what are we looking at? We're looking at equipping business leaders, owners of business with the skills and the process to sustain their organization at this trying time through remote work. We also want you business owners to speak about your challenges as you have them right now. And let us see how we can all come up with some of the solutions. I know some of our businesses are totally human facing, so we may not have too much of what we can do for such a situation. But in some of our business, we still have 20% of work. We have 30, we have 40% of our business still going maybe online, or because it's a service industry, for whatever reason. But whatever it is, we must stay focused and we must be hopeful. Before we start the topics that we're going to be treating, and it's going to be more of interactive so that we can all share ideas. We would like to sympathize first and empathize with all those who are currently ill, both in Nigeria and all over the world. And we say, get well soon. And for all those who have lost loved ones, we know it cannot be easy, and our prayers and our thoughts are with you. And we can't start this program without talking about those people who are sacrificing their lives daily. The guardians, we call them the guardian angels, people call them heroes, all the medical people, all the caretakers, all the medical practitioners who are risking their lives daily to save lives, and even risking their family's life too. We say, thank you for the work you do. Thank you, thank you. No amount of thank you will be enough. And for us to be able to take this further, we also would like to say, for those who have lost income, even for this few days, and we don't know how long it's going to take, just be hopeful, especially for those businesses which are shut down completely because of the kind of illness and terrible virus that we have right now. We say be hopeful. Use this time to reflect. In every adversity, there's always an opportunity. So use this time to reflect, use this time to look for ideas for you to be able to grow your business when this coronavirus passes. Then we're also going to be looking, it's important that this whole webinar is geared towards keeping the economy and business going, no matter how small. So the webinar is going to last for a period of 1 hour. 40 minutes, we're going to be engaging with talking about some of the topics. The other 20 minutes, we can take on questions. I would like to introduce myself first. Let me know, I assume that everybody on the platform here already knows who I am. Very quickly, I am Mrs. Omo Odike, the MD CEO of Uconnect Human Resources Limited and Great Jobs NG, the first of its kind HR platform in the world, and a lady who is very passionate about business as well as women in business and also youth employment and empowerment. Janine Bowen is here with us. She's our guest speaker. I'll call her, she's a South African by birth, but she's now a Nigerian woman. So Janine, please introduce yourself to the rest of the people who have joined us today.
Yeah, hi everybody. My name is Janine Bowen. I've been living and working in Nigeria for the last 19 years. So definitely not new to the environment or anything like that. Also in the healthcare sector, so I fully understand the impact of COVID-19 on our fellow colleagues as well as business as a whole. So, I'm just going to be asking a few questions, pose it to you, open up the floor, engage in conversations with you, just to see exactly where we're at and to see how ready we are to deal with working from home, not only just from the tools, but also from the mindsets of our people as well.
Okay. Thank you so much, Janine. And I'm sure we all have looked at the global statistics as of today from the World Health Organization, the NCDC, which are the two reliable sources, and it's not looking so good. As of today, we have over 788,500 cases and 37,800 deaths. It's not looking good at all. However, what we need now is hope. We need to hang on to hope and know that this too will pass. So if you ask me about the projections of the future, I can tell you, nobody can tell you. Every statistic shows that this illness is very unpredictable, and the dynamics of which the disease is spreading, nobody understands it. We can only hope and pray that things will get better. And so this webinar is for us to keep hope and also start planning and looking for ideas on how we can modify our business propositions to our clients or our customers. So we'll be having discussions on things like, we're covering areas like how to move from corporate strategy to planning daily tasks, how to give and receive feedbacks for taxes that are done remotely, deciding the best communication channel, whether you're looking about WhatsApp, you're looking at Zoom, or you're looking at any of the other tools. So we'll be covering all these areas. And the reason why I thought of doing this personally was because a couple of people, business owners, had reached out to me to say my business is actually grounded. Some of them were like, oh, my business is up by 20%, but I don't even know what to do. And even at the time they asked me the same question, I really also did not know what to do. I was still trying to find ways of getting things sorted out. But I can say to a large extent, we have put a process in place. So Janine was going to start off with the discussions. We'll be looking at the way of working remotely from the process point of view, from the team point of view, as well as the tools and software that will be required to enable this process. And of course, the employees are not left out. I noticed that some employees are also part of the participants in this webinar. We'll also have some tips for you to use internally for you to be able to work remotely and successfully be productive while working remotely. So Janine, you can start.
Yeah, hi everybody. So first of all, my first question to you is, how ready are you to work from home? Bearing in mind we all have families, so our environment, is it conducive to be able to work from home? What absolute essentials do we need to have to be able to make our working environment conducive? So let's start off with laptops. Most people nowadays, we don't carry our desktops around with us when we're going to and from work. So we use laptops, but then in order to get access to our networks and that, are we running our work through a VPN, or are we giving people remote access to be able to log into the server so they can still have access to all our databases? And how do we control the information coming in and going out? So I'm going to open up the floor and say, can we just get an idea of, and Omar will need to unmute everybody, and if I can just ask us to raise a hand and I'll address you individually. And then I just want to ask you, what industry are you in, so that we have an understanding of what industries we're dealing with?
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Kate.
Yeah, so I'm a lawyer. So I'm in the legal industry. I also do consulting, education consulting. Yeah.
Okay, so I was asking what industry you are in, and if you have any specific questions, because we'd like to have this as an engaging, interactive webinar.
Okay, the question I would ask is, how do you sustain working off site? In my business, I can work remotely online for a large part, but I also need people to do some part of the processing. So how do I build a team remotely in this kind of situation?
Okay, so Kate, thank you for your question. So first of all, do you have people currently in your office at the moment that are doing relevant tasks for you?
Yes, but we're shut down now, so they're all home.
Yeah. Do they have laptops? Because there's a lot of tools. There's a lot of tools that we can use. There's Microsoft Teams. There is Dropbox. So you can still allocate tasks. You can send them email requests. You can also do from Outlook requests, a to-do list from Outlook, and share that with them. And then at least you've also got a track and trace history of who's been allocated to do what and the time frame in which they're completing the tasks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay, thank you.
Kate, you say you already have people working for you. isn't
Yeah.
it? Okay,
Yeah.
just we are both in the same service industry. Right now, my office is working 100%, almost like, okay, let me say 90% optimal. Why? Because we chose to go and develop a process around remote working. And it wasn't such a big deal. Not those were big words, but it was just simple as giving them the laptops, the tools they require to be able to work, as well as data, internet, and all that. And everybody's working, and all our clients are receiving their responses. So that's
Yeah.
what you need to do as quickly as possible if you still have clients that are working.
Thank you.
Okay,
Okay.
Janine, do you have more?
Kate, the only advice that we can give is that whatever tasks you do allocate to the people, make sure that there's a track and trace history on it so that you know who you've allocated which tasks to. And then you'll also be able to get a time frame in which those tasks are completed. Unfortunately, the mindset of our employees at the moment, they tend to see this as a little bit of a holiday, a vacation. And they don't think they need to be working during this time, so they can just be at home. But then again, we also need to take into consideration about their living environments. I mean, do they have power where they can actually charge their phones or their laptops and be able to have access to the internet? Have we given them those tools to be able to do their jobs? Because we can't expect them to do a task if we haven't given them the tools to do so. I've got a question from Toby Chukwu. He has, or she has, says that how are companies managing issues relating to additional costs being incurred by employees with regards to high electricity costs, data costs, and everything? Please could you share your experience in paying allowances? So what we've done is, in a few of the companies that I've worked with, we've opened up a CUG, a closed user group with Glo and with Airtel. So we've purchased SIM cards so that they can phone each other, their colleagues, and we've loaded extra data on their phones. So they just do a hotspot through their phones for data. So we didn't go out and buy new dongles. We've paid for that. When it comes to electricity cost, we also have to bear in mind that they are also reducing their own costs because they're not having to travel to the office every day either. So, you know, this is not an opportunity to try and milk the system. They also need to understand that when we are only doing business at 50%, we can't be expecting people to be paying out a whole lot more money than what we had anticipated. So for me, the first thing would be is I wouldn't be paying an allowance per se, but however, I would give them the tools to be able to do their job. When it comes to, I mean, let's be honest, most areas do have NAP at some stage, so they should be charging their laptops and that during the power, when they have power. I wouldn't be paying extra for diesel or for food or any of those allowances. It's just, you know, everybody tries to take an opportunity when they can get one, but we just need to be firm in saying, we've given you the tools to do the job. Unless you're in an area where you don't have power at all, but then I wouldn't request that person to be working from home if it was an essential service, like for example, a customer services agent or a call center agent. I wouldn't be asking a person that lives in a remote area to be able to do that for me, because then that would be that I would have to pay for diesel or for a generator or an inverter or something along those lines. Does that answer your question, Toby Chukwu?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
So, but you could just to add to that, remember from an employee point of view, your cost, just as Jenny has said, your cost is reduced from commuting and so many other areas. And the basic minimum that an employer should be able to provide for that staff should be the laptop, which they already had during when they were working in the office, the more airtime, as well as more data for connectivity. And the employer needs to put things into perspective. You're actually going to save a lot of costs when they're working from home. And you will find out even from by the end of the month, if we have to do this for another 1 month, you do the analysis, you'll find out that working from home, you actually have saved diesel cost, llama cost, petrol cost for all the official cars that go in and out. So many, there are a long list of it. And the only focus would just be on data as well as call cards. So there's a win-win for both parties, and you can actually effectively work from home.
I just got a question from Newton. It says, I work in the education industry, and currently we have migrated to tutoring online. We have mixed population, the advantaged and the disadvantaged. How do we ensure inclusion? That is a tough question, because especially in the disadvantaged areas, number one is accessibility to internet and computer accessibility. And again, also with regards to power, how do they even power their areas? Or asking them to spend an extra day on diesel in their month is a lot, especially for the people that are disadvantaged or are not earning big money. And because of social distancing, trying to get a group of people together in a community and try and have it at somebody's house that does have power, it goes against what our government have instructed us to do, and to keep away from each other. So unfortunately, for now, with the disadvantaged, they are really disadvantaged at the moment if they don't have accessibility to the internet or to the tools to be able to do online schooling or tutoring, unfortunately. Unless you try and get one or two people in your house and just tutor them, or otherwise, alternatively, if you can, but then again, it's also going to cost them airtime from a voice point of view. So you could even do it on the phone with them, but again, it will still cost them money, because they will have to buy extra credit for voice or data, depending on which way you're wanting to do the tutoring.
Hello, Funke.
Hi,
Funke.
Joining us.
Yeah, my name is Funke. It's really a good thing to be on this platform, and I think so far I've enjoyed every question asked and answered. I wish I could say the same thing with what has been happening to other sectors, because mine is quite different. I'm in the retail sector, which is clothing. And as you all know, we've been grounded since last week, Thursday, and the fact remains that we can't even sell. I have an Instagram up and running. We have orders coming in from Instagram. But the funniest thing is that we couldn't move our stock from the warehouse, as it were, to Anybiz, because one, you're not sure what customers will want and how much of the stock can you possibly move. Having said that, the fact that this stock were gotten at 360 Naira to $1 cannot be restocked at that amount, because as at the current rate for today is 412,000. So for me, it's almost like losing 20% of my capital. And it's just quite worrisome for me, for the fact that one, you can't sell, and secondly, the capital has gone down by 20%. And I mean, no hope of selling. That is my main predicament. I don't know if anything can be shared on this.
Yeah, unfortunately, Olafunke, I think the retail sector or the FMCG sector are going to be the hardest to overcome this. And it's unfortunately, it's not just Nigeria, it's everywhere in the world at the moment. And I feel your pain, because number one, you've lost money because you're not going to be able to buy at the new rates. You're not going to be able to sell it at the new rates. And I applaud you for having it online with regards to Instagram. I mean, there are other ways. You can also resell your stuff to Jumia or to Konga and use those platforms to sell your goods. So at least you can get it moving and let them do the delivery for you. So that at least you're not putting your own people at risk, because they've already got the people that are doing the deliveries and that as well. But again, you know, that will be seen as a non-essential service. So if it was groceries or rice or oil, then maybe it would be able to move quicker. But unfortunately, clothing is not seen as an essential service. So even to try and deliver it to your clients, you not only putting your own people at risk, but the government don't see it as an essential service. But that doesn't help your bank balance either, unfortunately.
No, it doesn't.
Hello, Funke.
Yes.
I mean, just as Jenny has said, the truth is, for retail, all the business that have human interface, there's almost nothing you can actually do with regards to the business. You just, first, I would say hope and pray that this COVID virus ends very quickly. This is time to look for other ideas and strategies. We're going to be selling product change. Even Instagram may not be now. Necessity is amazing. or something for invention. So this is the time to actually create and invent a different way, different mode of how you're going to be selling. Because even Instagram will not be enough for you to be able to retail your goods, to be able to meet your projections for sale. So I think just hang on and be hopeful that we can cure this illness.
As such, no time.
A long time, but at least when we have life, we have hope. This platform is all about hope. It's all about hope. It's all about hope. So I'm going to reiterate that a lot because there's only so much you can actually help. Even the service industry, like some of us will still have 40% of our business running. If the COVID virus thing is so bad, even we are only to come to total halt. But I personally, I'm going to try and start looking for ideas to reinvent myself, reinvent the business strategies and how we can. I'm seeing that in some other economies which are already going past the crisis phase into the consolidation phases.
So Olafunke, that's what I was going to suggest as well. Unfortunately, we don't have control over the situation at all. And I applaud the government for doing this lockdown, because the only way that we're going to overcome spreading this virus is by making people responsible and forcing them to be responsible. Because if we leave it up to people, they'll never be responsible. So maybe use this time. Do you make the clothing yourself?
No, I buy them off the rack.
Okay.
Wholesale,
so then maybe,
I do them.
So then maybe share it with us on this group. And I mean, we can also use our own networks and share them. Share your number as well so we can send it across. I mean, this is a time where we all have to stand together and see how we can all help each other. So share your company details with us, your contact number and your Instagram page. Let us share it amongst our friends and see if we can't help you at least move some of the stuff. I mean, there's no guarantee, but when people are going to be bored after 2 weeks, they might just want to have a bit of a retail pleasure and want to start buying some clothes. So let's at least just try and help each other out during this time as well.
All right. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
I think this is also a time where we all need to Control Alt Delete, like reset ourselves as well. Use this opportunity, because none of us take time out for ourselves. None of us take time to relax. None of us take time to even look at how we want to grow our business in the future. So maybe this is the time where we start doing strategic thinking and start looking at new ways of doing business and take this from a learning, and say, okay, this happened. How do I prevent this from happening in the future? Do I need to diversify my business so that I don't get stuck in this again 10 years down the line or 5 years down the line, or heaven forbid another pandemic comes? So use this time to regroup, rethink things, find better ways of doing your business, and really just take some time for recharging your batteries as well, because it's not easy, because let's be honest, we get into this rut where we go to work, we come home, we do what chores we need to do around the house. We never really get time for ourselves. So take this as an opportunity to recharge your own batteries as well and rethink about the way that you're doing your business.
Is there a way you can actually do, some sort of aggressive marketing of your social media pages, whereby people are just maybe buying or booking of some sort? Like,
okay, booking before time and you just deliver at the end of it all.
Yes, you already know you already have this good, so they must go, whether you like it or not. So why don't you just start taking orders? And I think now, if I know how you actually deliver yourself, I don't think you're big on Instagram, am I correct?
Yes, but not so big.
So this is a time now for you to be colorful on Instagram, extremely colorful and attractive, and find a way out, find a new way of projecting your stuff in such a way that it's so attractive that even I myself, I will see that once things stabilize, I want to wear this outfit, so get everybody buzzing around your goods. So about that.
Okay.
Okay.
Hello. Permit me to say something. First, I want to chip in to suggest to Funke that I don't want to call the name of the business because I don't want to give them free adverts. So I had bumped into that page online on Instagram. But I just said, I don't know whether this is genuine or not. And then I asked a friend of mine, I want to buy so and so. And she said, oh, just go to their page online. They're even having a sale. So I go online and I said, I've been there before, but I wasn't sure. She said, no, it's real. And then she told me where their office was. And what do they do? You know, after I paid, I said to myself, this lady's just taking my money for like 6 weeks or 2 months and then deliver the goods at the end. And then I don't know if she's really giving, you know, if the incentive is real, if it's a sale, but this is what they do. They go online and they market their products and reduce the price. So this is the price, maybe 20,000, and they say it's 10,000. And people are flocking, people are signing up, people are paying them. So they have the funds to go purchase the item. So they don't even have it in stock. So I'm not saying you should toe the exact line. I'm saying what Omo said, you know, do a massive sale. You know your bottom line. You know how low you can go that will not take you out of business. And you know what you can do so you still be at float to be able to go back and buy these goods. Even if you sell it at the current rate. But you need to do that kind of, you know, massive sales awareness. So when this is over, people know that, okay, if they have money now that they want to put away, fine. If they don't have, they know that, you know, this is a place to go. So I agree with what Omo has said. And the second thing I want to say is it affects the second business that I do. So I rely on a third party that I don't have control over. So a lot of my files can't go beyond a point, and that's the embassy, for instance. So I rely on them because at the end of the day, my business is a value chain, and that's at the topmost echelon is that embassy. Now I'm stuck because I have applications I can't even put in. So I don't know if this is just peculiar to me. What do you do when your business is dependent on another person to complete your transaction?
Jenny, do you want to take?
Yeah, so hi, Kate. Unfortunately, even if you were able to get a visa out, which is not possible at the moment, the person will not be able to travel anywhere. So your area is not peculiar in any way, even unless, of course, their passports are stuck at the embassies. They're not going to be able to travel anywhere. But then just see the light at the end of the tunnel and know that when this coronavirus pandemic is finished, everybody's going to want to travel at some stage, and that will be increasing your business.
Yeah.
So you know, take it for now. Again, like I said, look at your business the way you do it right now. Look at new creative ways of doing it. Speak to other people. Find innovative ways of doing your business. Instead of people coming to you, let's start letting them do things online, so that at least when they do things online, it makes your job a lot easier and you don't really have to have interaction with people. Like I said, I think that this is a reset button for all of us. We need to start being creative in the way that we currently doing business. So take this time, Kate. Know that it's a dark place for most people. I don't think anybody's really maximizing anything out of this at the moment. And just know that once this is over, your business will probably be flourishing a lot more than any of ours. So
Thank you, Jenny. Thank you.
Any other questions from anyone else? So I would like to say that, you know, working from home is a complete different mindset from getting into that, like I previously mentioned, about having this routine that you wake up in the morning and you go to work and it's like you're on autopilot. It's not that it takes any thinking from you during the day. And now we're being forced to work from home. So how do we do that? First of all, the only advice I can give is you have to keep your routine. Because if you don't, you're going to become lazy and you're going to become depressed and you're going to start overeating. You have to also get exercise. Remember, when you're in the office, you move around, you walk from one person to the next. So take this time to get up from your desk, stretch your legs, do a bit of stretching exercises. Make sure that you still only eat like you would when you go to the office. make sure that you get up the normal time, you go to bed the normal time, and stick to your routine as much as possible. So even if you're coming to work, get dressed as if you're coming to work. Don't sit in your boo-boo or in your singlets and just sit there and think, oh, nobody can see me, no one cares. But you're in your own mind. If you're not dressed the part, you can't think the part. So you have to be able to think and be physically fit and ready to be able to work from home. So don't get into that lazy rut of going, oh, okay, I can sleep in for another half an hour, or let me just go and make some tea, and it's not normally your tea time, because all of that will have a negative impact on you being able to achieve your goals once you are trying to, and especially now, because you don't have the normal support that you would if you were in the office. So you feel like you're kind of on your own now, and you're having to do a lot more on the stuff of your own. And that can be quite daunting as well. So try and stick to a routine. Encourage your staff to stick to a routine. If you're having staff, try and have staff meetings. Do it on Zoom. Still make sure that you interact with them at all times. So speak to them. Make sure that you're having your normal meetings through Zoom. Check in with your staff at least once a week to make sure that they are okay. Because knowing that people are out there and that, you know, unfortunately, we're in a digital world where this is a lot easier now. Imagine in 1960s, we wouldn't have even been able to have meetings like this or have access to other people. But just also knowing that you can speak to somebody else and know that they're also going through this at the moment, it does help your psyche and it does help your emotional well-being as well. Because remember, emotional well-being is just as important as your physical well-being.
Okay. Let me go to another area of this discussion. I'm going to talk from the employer point of view. Like when you want to set up remote working for your employees, you need to know that not everyone in the team are doers. I mean, I'm sure you already experienced that. You already know there's a certain set of people who would work, whether they are remotely working or they are in the office. In fact, most of the people who don't work properly within the office would not really do so well when they're out of the office. That's one thing you would definitely notice. Then you have to identify the number of staff that you have, within the number of staff that you have, the ones you can actually trust to be able to do the work regardless of wherever they're working from. Then even as the boss and as the leader, and I can say it even as for myself, we have to also be able to trust. In fact, my employees don't know that. A couple of them are actually hooked up to this platform. I think one of them actually told me, oh, I need to trust them. And I actually have zoned off. I don't send them mails anymore. I don't tell them, oh, you have to do this, they have to do that. So they may have just noticed quietly, but I'm actually saying it now that I actually zoned off and said, okay, this may happen for a long time. I need to be able to hands off and trust them to be able to do this work. And if I don't trust them, it means I'll be burnt out even within this semi-holiday stroke isolation period. And I will look like somebody who never even stayed at home for even one day. So that's even something that we need to really consider. And as Jenny had already started talking about some of the tips, but please, I didn't say zone off from what they are doing to the extent whereby they drop all the balls and the clients come crashing on you. So that's not what I'm saying, but to a large extent, just give them some distance to be able to see themselves do the things themselves. And hopefully it will be well. Then there are some tips for employees who are actually working. So a lot of you are working remotely from home. And I think Jenny already spoke about some of them. Wake up on time, the normal work time as much as possible. It may sound funny. And in Nigerian culture, we are not used to working from home. In the Nigerian culture, we're not used to remote working. I think most bosses are because we work at any time, around the clock. But for employees, the mindset is totally different. For you to be able to put yourself in that space, you must be able to have a normal routine, dress properly. We're not saying you should wear a suit and a tie or something flamboyant during the daytime when you're working, but something comfortable and quite respectful so that you don't have a situation whereby you're doing a Zoom meeting, just like I think I and Jenny experienced yesterday. one of our employees was actually wearing a singlet, and she said, oh, maybe he wanted us to see his six-pack. And that was very funny. But you see, that shouldn't be, because it should be dressed professionally, at least to an extent whereby we can actually have a conversation without being distracted. And I know he's here, he's hearing me, so don't worry, nobody knows who it is. So you also have to plan the virtual meetings. I mean, meetings as well as coffee breaks with your colleagues. Just try and be creative, and you will find out that it becomes a way of life. Then you create a good routine, some exercise, what she has already mentioned. Then, of course, have specific working hours, as well as and agree this with your managers from time to time. Then use the time that you usually will use to commute to do other things, maybe like learn how to, in fact, a lot of people need to know how to use Zoom. A lot of people need to learn how to use a lot of this technology now, because one thing you need to know is working remotely or working online is going to be the new normal. This is something that was already a lot of scholars have actually been proposing for a long time, that very soon we're going to have flexi work, we're going to have remote working. It's just a pity that coronavirus, which is negative, has actually forced us towards that direction. And now we've been forced to that direction, where it's going to take a while for us to, I don't think it's going to be normal. I don't think we're going to be 100% back to our normal routine, just where we are all just doing brick and mortar businesses. For those people who can do online business, this is the time you should take the opportunity to be able to do that. Then, of course, now we've talked about the people, we talked about how the team should be, the mindset of the employers too, as well as the employees, as well as the processes you have to put in place to be able to run a remote working office. You also need to know the tools. And I think the basic tools, very, very basic tools, are your laptops, just your laptop, your call card, and your internet data connectivity. And of course, just like Jenny mentioned, you can also use the CUG lines if you have a bigger, like maybe you have a lot of people in your company. I think the CUG lines work for 20 and above. It will make more sense for you to have that because it's cheaper, it's more affordable than having them to use call cards all the time. Choma, I think you're on this platform, so take note of that. We need to have that ready so that we reduce cost on making the calls. So some of the other tools, I don't know if Jenny wants to talk about them. You can also have things like, of course, Zoom, as we are all talking now. You can have a lot of Zoom meetings. Google Drive, I'm sure a lot of us already save our information on the server, so people can actually work remotely, and if they need information from any of the sources, they can get it online. I know some people in fashion and those who may be in clothing or retail may not have this, but it will get to a point whereby you need to start thinking outside the box. The fact that you're not using Google to save some of your information, it doesn't mean that there's no opportunity within your business right now. There's so many things you can also save on Google Drive and so many other things that people can actually access, even yourself internally as well as a third party, if that is what you're doing. Then one very interesting one now that is going to be in fact, for everybody right now to a very large extent, even when we come out of the COVID virus, and it's going to take a phase. Right now we are I think we are not in the crisis phase at all, and we hope we'll never be there. But the phase of COVID virus, for those who have experienced it from beginning to the end, has been the initial stage, the infection stage, people just get to know. The second phase is the crisis phase, which we know China, Italy, and all over the world have gone through and are still going through. And the next phase is now the rebound phase. The only country or the only continent and country that can boast of being in the rebound phase is China. Every other person is within the other parts of the spectrum. And that being said, once all this COVID virus ends, you will find out that many companies will still not want to send physical documents, do physical things as much as possible until we are 100% certain that we don't have any trace of it. And very interestingly, on Friday here, a client sent me COVID information to sign a contract. This client never does remote signatures, but now they are doing remote signing of contracts. And so I signed, the other directors signed, we send back, and they're going to do the same thing and send back. And they wrote like a clause at the bottom that this will continue till till the COVID virus end. So take your time now. Let signing of contracts not be a hindrance for you to sign contracts if you have the opportunity even at this. Learn very quickly. Go to Google. You can learn PDF signatures, Hello Signature, PDF sign-ups. Just learn them and be ready. I know a lot of us know it, how to do it. A lot of us have an idea, but not everybody really know how to really do it. So please, this is an opportunity for us to be able to do that. Then going just quickly to the challenges of working remotely. I think we've talked about some of them. The greatest we have in the Nigerian workforce is really the employee mindset. Employee mindset is, of course, having to know that this is not a holiday. This is work. We need to all put our hands together to at least do the work, the job we have to do, to be able to get the clients to pay us, for us to be able to get paid at the end of the day. If we understand that it is not, sometimes you say you have to get the employee buy-in. For me, I say this is not an employee buy-in, this is an employee commitment for us to put our hands together to get the best out of it. So you also have to, another issue is, of course, we've talked about it a bit for those who are joining us, individual infrastructure at home, their working space. NEPA is a major issue. And of course, Jenny already said, when there's light, at least charge your phones, charge your laptop. At least most laptops come with battery that lasts for a certain number of hours in a day. So that shouldn't be an excuse for employees not to work. The employee self-discipline is also one of the challenges. But you see, we are all in a learning curve. We're all in a learning space right now. So it means even if you you can't be disciplined in your own homes now, but I can tell you, if you know this is what you have to do to be productive, you would learn and be productive. So it should be good for all of us here to be able to do that if you work as an employee. Then of course, you should experience as an employer a slower turnaround time for your staff to do their jobs. I have experienced it. I've told myself I have to shut out my eyes and I have to shut my ears just to make sure that I don't go crazy, because I'm somebody likes the work to be done now, as well as the clients, because I don't like to see negative feedback. So you just know that this process comes with that slow turnaround time. Then there's more cost, which we have mentioned before, for data as well as calls. But as I said also, you also have a lot of huge cost savings. So when you look at it from that point of view, I think then you have a bit of a peace of mind. Then some employees, regardless of how much time we spend talking today and how much they even get to hear in other webinars or from other people, some employee may just tune off and come up with different excuses as to why you will not be able to deliver. So you should be ready for all that. And of course, our network speed in Nigeria, I'm sure if a lot of us are experiencing that even as this webinar, it's not as stable as what we have in the Western world, but we can make do and work around all that. So these are just some tips for employees as well as employers. We can talk about, I know for those who have maybe made up their minds now, but didn't make up their minds before the shutdown, it's not too late for you to still kind of put a process in place as to your organizations to actually work remotely. Different industries that are here, I mean, I'm sure different people are in different industry. I would just give you like a generic one. If you want to speak to us on specific solutions for your specific industries, we can chat and we can help you through that process. It won't take anything to talk to you about it. But for a general remote working, first and foremost, you as a CEO must take the decision, or the business owner or the business leader must take the decision that you want to work remotely. Right now, you don't have any choice. You just have to work remotely. Then you have to set up a meeting for clarity and security. Clarity with your staff. Now you can't do that physically. You can now do that through WhatsApp, maybe through the Zoom, Zoom technology and any other interface, or Skype and any other interface that you can use. But you see why I say clarity and security. Clarity is because they need to know that they are not working it's not a holiday. They also need to know that everything they do affects the bottom line. Then the security is that most of them are worried right now. So you need to tell them that this is the period we're all working together. We're hopeful that we would be able to beat this virus. And also get them to know that their jobs are secured, at least to a large extent. And I know different industry would have different ways of interpreting this, but this has to happen. Then you have to ensure that the required tools that you record, that they will be able to work, which I said minimum is the laptops, data, and all that, they have it. Then you communicate very well. Before the lockdown, this communication would have been extremely essential. But even if we have the lockdown off and we're still working remotely, it will still come to play. Especially for those who work with multinationals, especially for companies who work with a lot of top companies, you still need to, even those who are even selling, and you have good customers who come to you all the time, you just need to give them the assurance that you're working remotely, you are not on holiday. Just send a very intelligent communication and they get to see that. Then employee must focus on delivering value within this time. Then of course, how would you, if this has to, I mean, I'm not saying that it's going to transcend more than 2-3 months, but if it has to extend 1 month, 2 months, you must have a proper remote working guideline for your company so that they don't drop the ball, or a business continuity plan. If you don't understand how this works, you can talk to me, Janine, after this program. We can talk to you on how you can set this up. So these are the different things. And I'm hoping that everybody has heard us. I would like Janine to say some more things before we go to the Q&A session for all those who still want to ask questions. Janine, can you hear me? Oh, sorry.
Buttress exactly what Omar said. You should also use this time to check in with your family. It's important to do face-to-face communication via Zoom with your colleagues. When you do a meeting, make sure that you show the video so that you can see the way they're looking, that they are dressed decently, that they are working, that the environment is conducive. And again, it's nicer to know that you're talking to a person than to a computer or to a blank screen. So when you do your meetings with your staff, make sure that you do video chats. When you speak to your family, let them see you. So it also put their mind at ease to know that you're doing okay. And also a good way for you to be able to see if your staff are doing okay. When we're talking about business continuity plans, make sure that you have rosters. Make sure that you communicate your plans very well with your customers so that they are all on the same page, to make sure that everybody understands where to call, what numbers to call, if there's going to be any delays. Don't create negative expectations. Just be open and honest with your clients. Remember, they're going through exactly the same as what you're going through as well. So my only advice that I can give to all of you is be strong. It's not an easy time for anyone. Be strong, be committed to the task at hand, stay safe, and we are available to assist wherever we can. So I think it's over to you, Omar, for Q&A.
Yeah, so right now, please everyone take note. Ask all the questions you can possibly ask within the time we have, and we are ready to take them on. I know we had, for those who are just joining us, we had a Q&A type like questions, I mean, before now, and we are going to start another one. So please ask your questions. What is burning in your hearts concerning the COVID virus? Whatever, even if it's just a comment, just share with us and we'll be ready to answer. Anyone with questions? Ngozi, do you have any questions?
I had issues joining in, so I'm just listening now. Yeah.
Okay. I've unmuted everyone. Didn't I? Unmute.
So if you're not generating revenue, I know Omar had said companies are saving in diesel, for instance, you're not, and other utilities, airtime. But that if you put that vis-a-vis the salary cost, it's minimal. I'll speak for my business. So if you're not generating revenue, you're going to be paying salaries out of your savings.
Yes, yes.
Yes, so I know I have to pay the laborer is due, but I'm just speaking out. It's a thought that's coming to me. So if they're not generating any revenue, I just, how do I now, where do I get the excess to foot that expense?
So Kate, what you can do is speak to your people and say to them that they need to come up with ideas on how they're going to help you keep the business afloat. And then maybe do like a little, make it a competition. Let people start being creative with you, because the onus is not just on you at the moment. It's on everybody, because if you don't have a business, they don't have a job. So make it interesting, let them come up with creative ideas on how to keep selling your goods or your services during this time. Let them come up with new ideas, creative ideas to make your business work. And then have a little competition to say, if I get to use any of your ideas, I will give you a small bonus. And then use this opportunity to help let them grow your business. Unfortunately, there's going to be expenses. Any business owner will understand this. We all have good months and we have bad months, but nobody has asked for this. So we can't hold them accountable or responsible for this situation. So yeah, we do still need to pay them their salaries, but then they also need to know that they have to work for it as well. They can't go through this time thinking it's a holiday time and then still expect a salary. So you need to make that very clear with all your staff prior to saying to them, that month end comes and you need salary, but you do also need to add your value. And if that means being creative online or sending you an email or helping you with the phone or whatever it is, they need to also pull their weight in order to obtain their salary.
Okay, Kate, I have another perspective to it, because as an employer, I know I had to start from small. Hello, do I have to unmute everybody? I mute everybody. Can you hear me? Oh. Okay, I had to mute everybody again so that we can hear ourselves. Let me be real. I know there are some businesses right now who have not been able to grow as much as possible to actually have capital for raining times. And this time is one of those times whereby if you have built capital, you can pay them so maybe 1 month, even if there's no business, 2 months, 3 months, and even 3 months, 4 months. However, there are some businesses that don't have any of those luxury. And we need to be able to address their concern. For me, it's a matter of, let me give you an example. If a particular, maybe for example, a staff was earning 50,000 a normal day when things were okay, if you know you don't have that money, there's no way that money is going to come out, no matter how much you try. So you can actually have a good meeting with them through, of course, Zoom is the only way, and so many other technologies, Skype and the rest of them, and say, guys, we know we're doing the business. We know we have not made so much money. This is what we're saying. We need, for us to be able to sustain ourselves for at least maybe for the next 3 months, we don't even have enough for so much. We can maybe pay this percentage of the salary to at least keep body and soul together. Because you don't have. You're not going to give what you don't have.
Open that.
The businesses are just stuck. So there may be a consideration in that aspect. But for those who, any good business owner who has gone to a certain level should know that you must keep money for the rainy day. And the rainy day is now. It's now. So these are the options that can be available. You can pay attention. And even for those who are kept for a rainy day, you know that it cannot last forever. For example, like Oxford Beach, this whole issue is going to take another 3 months, 6 months. We don't know. I'm not saying it's going to, but we just have to be prepared and be hopeful. It means that you need to start looking at the books and checking, and especially if clients are not paying you at all, you have to look at the books and see how much of this you can do and start sharing with your employee. I know some other, okay, this will just it's a bit of a digression. What one country did, and I think it's the only country that is out of this crisis mode, for example, the rebound, they're in the rebound and recovery stage, based on the Harvard Business Review report that I read. What they did was, so where they had to shut down, they had no resources. I know this is going to be almost difficult for any Nigerian company to actually replicate, but it's something they need to start thinking about. A lot of their employees that they couldn't, I mean, because they were in essential services like hotel, business, to face with people, they moved all their employees and loaned them. Loaning means they signed good agreements with companies who could work 100% online, and they were working on logistic businesses. And one of the companies was Alibaba. Alibaba, during this, it's like whenever there's a crisis, just know that a lot of people are cleaning out. Medical people who are doing supplies are cleaning out. The people who are doing anything that's essential, they're cleaning out. All the supermarkets were doing so well.
That's right.
So just know that even if you're in crisis, somebody is doing like 300, 400% at this time. Alibaba was so swamped with requests that they didn't even have enough employees. So this company loaned up over thousands of their workers, as in I'm loaning them to you for this period. Once you're done and things pick up in my own business, they're coming. But what would assist such an economy is their culture. Their culture would make that work. Their government would make that work. Their social lifestyle would actually make that work. And that's but it's something we need to start thinking of. So they loaned them and they were being paid. So they didn't lose. But of course, they won't make as much as if they were running their own business, but at least they didn't lose. And those employees had work and were getting paid. And another cosmetic company did the same thing. They also took their staff and made them online influencers in beauty, for beauty. They were working in beauty parlors and all that, but they became online influencers for beauty, for one beauty company. And guess what? That particular company, if you check the Harvard Business Review, they made, from the last year's gains, they made 200%. In this short period between January and now, 200% of what they made for the entire year last year. So in every adversity or in every issue, there's always a good side of it. So let us still be hopeful. Let's look at very innovative ways of running our businesses and start looking actively about them. So I can let me stop and so that somebody else can ask a question. Okay, you're muted now, so you can ask your question. Hello. Do we have questions? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So please ask your questions. For those essential companies like event companies, I know you all have one of the hardest hit. I mean, event, even the word alone, anybody who hears it is running like, I don't know anything anymore. So those who are having event companies, hotel companies, our thoughts and our prayers are with you, because we know I just come up with today will not really be able to solve that particular issue because there's a people. However, this is another time for you to start looking at other areas along your value chain of the events. What can I do so that, as Janine said in the first discussion, if things change, what can I do that if this happens the second time, I'll be at least this part of my business will still be sustaining the company until when the problem ends. So we need to start thinking in a very innovative way, because when we start talking about working remotely, opportunities come with working remotely. Different ideas are better. And it means there's going to be opportunity for new money, new ideas, new way of working. Then definitely there's going to be a way for new money. So we need to be positioned to be able to assess these opportunities and think about these opportunities. So please, I'm still waiting for questions. You're free to ask, make your comment.
Hi, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Good afternoon.
All right. So I work with us. Whole COVID-19 has kept everyone indoors, and I noticed that I work in the admin side, the admin manager, but I noticed that most of the teachers are, like they have work because they are taking their classes online now. But as an admin in the admin side, we don't really have much doing because most of the works have been done, and I feel like this is going to be not a good idea after all this, whether we're still gonna get a job. So what kind of advice will you have for?
If you say you're an admin, if I get you, you're an admin staff in a company. Huh? Am I correct?
I didn't hear that. I didn't hear you.
If I get you, you're an admin staff in a company.
Yeah.
Okay, and this company obviously has other workers. Okay, Chi, can you hear me? This company has other workers.
Yeah, the teaching staff, yeah.
Teaching staff. Okay, they are not working.
It's a school.
Or is it school?
So they are working. So the teachers are working remotely.
Okay,
but
so
they're not doing anything. Most of them.
So you see, that's what I said initially. I said before everybody went on a lockdown, the school management should have given assurance that their jobs were secure. The security and clarity should have been done. And even if they didn't have time to be able to do that, this is an opportunity for them to. So you can actually, if you have those fears, you as the admin person should actually call somebody in the management to say, I think of course are having these fears about job security and all. I think we need to talk to them, and you set up a Zoom meeting. So you talk to, you alert their affairs and make them know that the jobs are still there and there are no issues. Well, for me, my admin staff is not what would I say, on holiday. She's actually working. Why is she working? Because she's busy making sure that everybody has their resources.
Exactly. What's happening? Not a meeting.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me? Okay. So those are the things that come with remote working and talking. So she's actually busy right now. She's making sure everybody has their resources. She's monitoring all the spend with regards to the calls, the airtime. So some of them have even exhausted their resources that are given to them, and she's topping them up. She's busy, actually busy. And anything that people require to be making sure people have that. So people need to go back to the drawing board. If you have a functional school, because I know a lot of schools are doing a lot of stuff with students. You need to be part of that. And the school needs to sit down and make sure everybody's aligned with this remote working. It can't be just a part of them. It can't just be some certain set of people. It has to be everybody. Everybody needs to own remote working. It's not just a set of people that should be doing the remote work, so that everybody is at the same place and everybody understands what is going on, and nobody is in the dark and feeling left out or isolated or afraid that they may not have a job. I hope that answers your question.
Jessica, come on,
Does that answer your question? Hello?
Yeah, hello, Omo. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Adam.
Okay, so if I will follow just a backdrop on what the question she asked about admin. Part of the concern for remote working is, okay, if you're in a firm where you have maybe a consultancy, right? And you have the practice staff, and then you have like your back office staff. For the remote working, you find out that, okay, the deliverables for the practice staff would be very clear. And so you find out that they most probably will be very busy during this period. But you find out that you also have your back office staff who are not going to be that busy.
Definitely.
This period, definitely. And so when we're also talking about, okay, at the end of the day, we are going to look at the bottom line, we're going to look at salaries. I find this for me a big challenge that we are going to face by the time we are coming out of this lockdown.
To all those who have worked and those who have barely done anything.
Sorry?
I get you. I get you.
Yeah. So that's a struggle that I've just been thinking of how we're going to deal with.
That's a tough one because how do you go around to say pay the people who have been working all through this period far more?
No, so sorry. It comes down to you as the manager, you as the leader, you as the owner, business owner. It's about giving them tasks. Remember, these people are not meant to think for themselves. They're used to taking instructions. So what you need to do is you need to give them tasks to do. So if it means that they're an admin person or a back office person, and you need to redesign forms, or you need to catch up on some typing, or you need to do some electronic filing, whatever it is that you need to do that you can do remotely, use this opportunity. If you've got outstanding debts, let them start phoning people for debt collection to make sure that you still get your money in. So give them, diversify their skills. Don't let them just do what they're used to doing. If it means that you need to get them a phone that they can take online calls from people, from clients, let them do that. Just admin is so broad. You can literally pack anything under the umbrella of admin, but also make them feel like they're part of the team. The last thing you want is to discard them, because then that's where the insecurity comes from, as to, well, my madam or my Olga doesn't need me because they don't call me, they don't care about me, I probably don't have a job. And then you'll probably find they'll go and start looking for other jobs anyway, or find ways to manipulate the system. So give them tasks to do. Make them feel part of the system. And like I said from the beginning, we are all in this together. Remember, COVID-19 has no barriers. It doesn't choose you because of status or because of money or anything like that. So we really are all in this together. And like I said before, make sure that your staff feel part of the team. Make sure that you are checking in with them, that they still feel that they are important enough in your business, and make them an owner. Let them feel responsible to try and help grow the business and make sure that it gets through this horrible time, that we can all come out smiling, that there is money to pay their salaries. So make sure that you give them tasks. So take this time, reassess all of your people's roles and responsibilities. You know the people, so find what you think that they would be good at and give them new tasks.
Yeah, thank you, Janine. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Just to add to that, you will be so shocked that even within the admin department, I mean, I'm sure there are different people who have different roles to play within the admin department. You find that there are a lot of things that you would want the company wanted to do for so long, but they've not been able to do it. This is the time for such tasks. In my office now, like the IT, they're developing some new programs, things will be pushing aside, even some solutions that were not working well. They are now talking to the vendor, because in the first place, they were not even interfacing one-on-one. They were always on the phone or on WhatsApp or something. So now somebody needs to sit down and draw up tax that they see as part of what they ought to have done maybe a couple of months back or a year back, and this is an opportunity to start doing those things now. Then, of course, like Janine said, things that you feel that we can have shared ability, whereby not just a few people are inundated with so much, and you feel that they can actually do it, you share that out. And when we say tax, it to be written in black and white, especially for the service industry, where we know that people just look at things that they have seen. Don't make it like a vague comment, do this, generate. Just put it, assign tax for Thomas is this, and this. You give timelines and you give a feedback mode, which is when is this feedback going to be ready? Is it in 1 week? Is it in 2 weeks? Give a timeline, as well as the process of providing that feedback. And of course, you can always have meetings for clarification, that using all this network.
This is also
Okay. As I repeated again, my office is not on a shutdown, and it's not on a shutdown. A lot of them are working. Even as I'm talking to you, I see bills coming in right now from staff to clients. So they're not on a shutdown.
Also use this time to update all your databases of your clients. Use this time to clean up your data. All the horrible stuff that we never get around to doing, use this time now to start updating. If it's in the school, use this opportunity to update your manuals. If you're in a service environment, use this time to start updating all your databases. Clean up your databases. Trying to clean up your house. And I don't mean your house as in where you live, I mean as in your business. Use this time to clean up your house and get your mind right and start looking at new ways of doing business. You'll probably even find that when you start this exercise, you'll realize that you have so much staff that you probably don't even need. Or you realize that there's certain staff members that have skills that you didn't even know. So push the boundaries. There's no rules of engagement during this time. All our boxing gloves are on. It's a fight for survival right now. So push people to their limits. Let them try and develop new skills. Tell them that they have to go and do an online free course and they've got to come back with their certificate afterwards on something that you think they need to do. Use this opportunity for learning. So don't let them sit at home and do nothing. Because then it's not fair. Then why are we paying people salaries just to take an extra holiday? Then we just deny all leave for the rest of the year.
Exactly. Sure. Okay.
So I think our time is up. So I think maybe we can just round up and then let anybody make contact with you afterwards if they want more information on that or an additional webinar.
Okay, I think I've unmuted all. Okay, everyone, thank you so much for participating in this webinar. I think I have had a wonderful time, and I'm sure Janine has also had a wonderful time listening to everybody. We couldn't have had this session at a better time than now. This session is all about hope. It's all about telling people that we're here for you. It's all about talking to each other to see ways we can actually develop our businesses, put our businesses in the right space. And of course, there's a lot of time now for us to do a lot of re-engineering, a lot of looking at dissecting our businesses to see how we can make it more, better in terms of the new way, which is going to be the new normal. The new normal is technology-driven businesses, ways of working remotely, so many different aspects of it. So please, let us not just listen. If you think you want to actually dive into part of this thing even more in terms of your own personal business, to see what these are the ideas, please share with us privately. If you think you want us to assist you in developing maybe even your business continuity plan or any of the processes that you're not too sure about, especially for those in the service industry, please contact us. We'll be able to share with you all what we know. Nobody knows it all. We are all just trying to make sure we keep our businesses afloat as much as we can, for those who still can. And for those who have, what will I say now, like a total halt of their business, please know that this too shall pass. There's nothing that has come that's negative that has not passed away. And please try and be positive. Try and work with your staff remotely. Try and come up with proactive way of doing your businesses. Know that you should still abide by all the rules. Stay safe, wash your hands, stay indoors, obey all the rules. Social distancing is what we need right now. No touching of your mouth, eyes, and your nose. And ultimately, everyone should pray, pray, pray. We are all going to at the end of the day. So please contact us. Please hear me clearly. You can contact us on info@u-connect-ng.com, info @sign u a dash or a hyphen connect CONNECT-ng.com. If you have questions, you can always call us on that number. On that email. Any of you who have my personal phone number, call me for any other information. And if you need the description, we'll also share that once you. So thank you very much for listening. Thank you all for your time. And please stay safe and thank God for everything. God will see us through
Okay.
this. See us through this. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
Thank you, Omo.
So much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.